Hello everybody and welcome to another top 10 list. A while back I did my top 8 favorite anime villains. The video sucked, and I made some stupid choices by trying to be unique instead of honest. Some choices like Roberta didn't fit because she wasn't too much of a villain, and even though Chaos was a decent villain, number 2 was really highballing it. I deleted the video because I acknowledge it sucks and I make mistakes. So I decided to redeem myself by making an honest list of my top 10 favorite anime villains. A villain is an important part of a story, and while I disagree with the statement that a hero is only good as his villain or her villain, I still think the villain is a major factor to how good something can be. These are villains that are entertaining, threatening, and just really good overall, ones that left an impact on me and stuck out as really good. Also, I will only include characters from shows I have seen, so if your favorite isn't here, I probably haven't seen the anime or I just didn't like the villain. Sorry. Everyone has their opinions. Also, I have a few unique and kind of weird picks, but I have good reasoning for them. Other than that, pretty standard. As always, this is entirely my opinion. Please rate yours in the comments below, but be nice about it. If you are not, I will delete them. Anyway, these are my top 10 favorite anime villains. Number 10. Tama from D-Frag. Yeah, first pick is one of those weird ones. So Tama isn't a traditional villain. She's not some badass or some evil force. She's just a girl who's a bit of a brat. And she's part of a comedy. And comedy villains are often a bit weak in terms of character. They can be entertaining, but not always that good or complete. Tama's a pretty good character on the other hand, though. She's odd, she takes things too far, and is just a bit of a jerk. But she isn't evil or unredeemable. She's the normal person who just happens to get in the way of our heroes. She's pretty smart, though, and really tough. I also like how it shows her backstory with some of the other characters, showing their history and developing her a bit. Sure, the first time I didn't like her when I watched it, but the second watch, I understood her more, and I found she was quite entertaining. Number 9. Crocodile from One Piece. I originally was not planning on putting him on this list, but going back, I do think he deserves it. Crocodile is a corrupt pirate with a positive public image as a hero, but he is secretly the leader of Baroque Works, working behind the scenes to basically fuck shit up. I like that. And while his reveal isn't like, oh my god, it's still pretty good. Plus, he's the first villain to thoroughly beat Luffy. Twice! So that's a milestone right there. His sand powers are very cool, giving him way to some awesome fights, and it makes him seem invincible. And his personality and motivations are great. He wants to crush the dreams of others due to his failure to achieve his own. And the lengths he goes to, and the things he does or tries to do, are truly despicable, and make him quite the scumbag. But he's a scumbag with style, and I think he earns recognition as a great villain. Number 8. Madara Uchiha from Naruto. People will either be happy he's here, or furious he's this low on the list. Well, I have my reasons. Madara is an extreme powerhouse, capable of taking on an entire army without breaking a freaking sweat because of his ridiculous power. When I think of a nearly unstoppable physical force, I generally think of Madara. The anime does a really good job at developing him and giving him a full backstory, since it's a super long shonen, which I feel these kind of shonen don't do enough, even when they have a ton of episodes. They just kind of make the villain, blank. They don't develop him. And the backstory is very complete and pretty interesting. Also, and expect to hear this a lot on this list, he's pretty smart. He has plans and intelligence when he speaks. His motivations are pretty cool too, as he wants to bring an era of peace, but to do it in the violent way, which is why he and the first Hokage, Hashirama, ended up fighting, despite being friends. As shonen's villains go, he is one of, if not the most complete. Number 7. Viral from Gurren Lagann. If this part sounds a bit different, I have a reason. Originally, the villain I chose from this anime, Gurren Lagann, was Lord Genome. I even had the part recorded in the original script. But after a lot of thinking and going over it and rewatching the anime again and hearing other suggestions and all that, I found that I think I prefer Viral a lot more than I remembered. And while I still like Lord Genome, I now think Viral deserves this spot a bit more. He might not be like a super villain or like the main villain or like a super badass.
and is ultimately a subordinate, but he stands out more as a character and is incredibly interesting, especially in the latter half of the anime. He's developed so much, and his passions and rage against his rival fuel him for a while. And while he is no pushover either, providing quite a bit of conflict against the main characters, it doesn't last for too long as they get better. But that isn't his ultimate purpose in there. Although I do see him as more of an antagonist than a villain, I will allow him here because of just how good of a character he is. He is developed so interestingly as a partner and rival of Simon. And that is, like I said, pretty interesting. Before that, a lot of his commentary on humans and his confidence about the capital and the Spiral King really showcase his loyalty and his motivations, along with how he thinks and acts. Although he might not be the real big baddie of the anime, I do think he is the best character who was, at one point, an opposing force for the heroes.
Number 6. Jalal from Fairy Tail. Yeah, another one of the guys from my old list is on here, but Jalal is one of those villains that you remember. The problem with shonen villains, like I said before, especially in long series, like I said before, is they often don't feel too amazing or interesting, especially besides the last two on the list. And also, like I said before, they aren't really well developed. Even an anime as good as Fairy Tail follows this, except with Jalal. It reveals his backstory with Urza, his thoughts, and it develops him like an actual person. It shows him as more than just some evil guy that gets in the way. He has goals and feelings. He has a fantastic and interesting backstory with Urza that is a bit heartbreaking at times because of the outcomes of his decisions. And he's really tough too. He's intelligent and a schemer, which is one of the best kind of villains. But he has the brute force to fight too, and he's a damn tough opponent, giving Natsu and Urza a run for their money. And sure, he kind of redeems himself and becomes less of a villain later on, and more of an anti-hero of sorts. But he started out as a villain, and that's what I'm sticking with. Number 5. Gilgamesh from Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. So the Fate series is something I saw in 2015, and it was pretty damn awesome. Both series with all 4 series were fantastic. Yes, I know that's another one, but I'm not going to watch it. And they had a really good villain with Gilgamesh. Sure, he isn't too much of a villain in Fate Zero, but he really becomes one in Unlimited Blade Works. His character is a lot of fun, too, as he is the king of heroes. He has put himself on this egotistical pedestal above all others, seeing them as nothing but mongrels who want his holy grail. He considers all treasures his, and he has thousands of noble phantasms, which is kind of like the weapon that these servants have. Even though he is very smart, Gilgamesh does suffer from a short fuse, getting angry when people push his buttons, even over the smallest things like touching a weapon that belongs to him. And he kind of earns that title of King of Heroes because he's really tough, taking down quite a few really powerful servants with seemingly little effort. He was entertaining, intimidating, and one hell of a final boss. Number 4. Izaya Orihara from Durarara. Durarara and Durarara X2 gave us a wonderful character in Izaya. He is just so fascinating and entertaining to watch. He's less of a villain and more of an antagonist kind of character, but that does not excuse me from taking him off the list because I think he still belongs here. He's probably the best part of Durarara, besides Celti. He has this love of messing with people's lives and pulling their strings as if he was some kind of puppet master. And it's brilliant. He just loves to push people around and do whatever the hell he wants. And that's what I like about him. He seems kind of nuts too, but still really, really intelligent. Having this obsession, love for people that he talks about quite a bunch, actually. And plus, sometimes you just can't figure out what the hell this guy is thinking or planning. And that's great! I love a character you don't always understand. He has such a great thought process. It's really strange. And his mannerisms really help him stick out. Plus, the dub performance by Johnny Young Bosch is really good and helps. He is a very entertaining and interesting character that breathes extra life into an anime that's already quite enjoyable. Number 3. Dr. Gel from Space Dandy. Another weird pick, yes, but I once again have my reasonings. Dr. Gel opposes Space Dandy, the hero, and his crew, so he is, by definition, a villain, so it counts. The difference is, he's not intimidating or even that good. he pretty much sucks at his job. Either that or Space Dandy is just so damn lucky. I think it's a mix of both. Sometimes in a comedy, when they switch to the villain, people are like, oh, not this shit again. But not here. The moments with Dr. Joe are just as good as the ones with Space Danny, in my opinion. Joe is such an entertaining and funny character that it's hard not to enjoy him. He just provides so much comedy. And he's pretty cool as a character, too. Despite his appearance, he's actually a brilliant scientist, which helps to aid some of the funny moments with him. Sure, Dr. Joe is not intimidating or powerful, but he's one of the most entertaining and hilarious anime villains I've ever seen. Number 2. Yuno Gasai from Future Diary. Coming up with a bunch of these picks was extremely difficult, because I wondered just who could and couldn't be counted as a villain. Then I was like, wait, it's my opinion, who the fuck cares? And Yuno is one of those characters that makes it into the gray area, but like I said, who the fuck cares? So after some thinking, I feel that she can be considered a villain in the right mindset. The heart of Future Diary is not this bloody fight, but this fascinating and twisted love story between Yuno and Yuki. Driving it is the diverging personalities between these two characters. Yuno is extremely clingy, and once her backstory and explanation is given, you can see why. And you can even see why she does the things that she does. You're not going to agree with them, but you can see why. She lies to Yuki to get her perfect end result. She seems like a cold, remorseless killer, seeing no fault with her actions, but it actually shows she might only do it because she thinks it's the only option, which gives an idea on how she thinks. She's not all there. She's not mentally sane. Like I said, her backstory explains it. Financial issue tore her family apart, with her mother abusing her and locking her in a cage, wanting her to be a perfect citizen. This causes Yuno to snap and loses her mind over time, leading to her trapping her parents in the cage she was put in until they die. Her insanity also just shows how much she wants Yuki for herself. She's pretty much the go-to example for the yandere character type. She is terrifying, fascinating, and at times sympathetic. But my number 1 is a bit better in my opinion. Before we get to number 1, here are some honorable mentions that almost made it on the list, but just were not good enough. First up is Ulquiorra from Bleach, who is quite a fascinating character, and in my opinion, better than Aizen. Plus he's strong, and he's really interesting. Along with that is Grimmjow, who is given a nice backstory, which I like, plus he's awesome. Sorry, Aizen. Finally, we have Don Quixote Don Flamingo from One Piece. I prefer Crocodile, but Don Flamingo is still a total scumbag who is just despicable and strong. Number 1, Medusa Gorgon from Soul Eater. Looking back, I have no idea why I only put Medusa at number 3. She more than deserves the number 1 spot, in my honest opinion. Like I've shown earlier with my picks and reasoning, one of the best kinds of villains are the ones that aren't just super strong, but have plans and intelligence, ones that can challenge the hero or heroes physically and mentally. And Medusa is a prime example of that. She is cunning, she is manipulative, and she is experimental. She has few morals and does whatever the fuck she wants. Plus, her motivation is really great. She thinks the world is not evolving, not changing, sitting still. She hates the DWMA for this reason, as she puts it, maintaining the status quo. And it's only natural that as time moves forward, we move with it. She hates this current state so much that she, spoiler, revives the Kishin just to stir things up and get things moving forward with change. She has a wonderful design that I just can't get enough of. Plus, she's evil to the freaking core, and does so many sinister things, like horribly treating her own child. Seriously, what gender is Krona? Whatever. She also uses other members of her own kind, twisting them around, but strangely having a kind of respect for them. Medusa has plans, and she thinks them through, manipulating people to get to the end result. She also has this twisted sense of love for Stein, and it's just fascinating as she drives him to insanity, so he can be hers and only hers. Plus, she can really throw down with some awesome witch powers and a really cool fighting style that makes her a serious force to be reckoned with. Her methods are awesome, her design is awesome, and she is awesome. Overall, Medusa is one twisted bitch, and I love her, which is why she makes it as my favorite anime villain ever, as of now. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out my other videos. Also make sure to check out my supporters, all their great stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Peace out, suckers.